Hey, what is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the College Info Geek Podcast, the internet's best resource for getting ahead as a student, but a terrible resource for learning how to have a fulfilling career in the arts and also make a lot of money at the same time.
Yep.
Still haven't figured it out.
Yep.
How do you do it?
I don't know. You throw paint splotches on the wall and say it represents the soul of your pet turtle, Jimmy, and then bam, $10 million sold.
Oh. Well,
first you need to get a pet turtle named Jimmy.
that was easy.
Make sure that this Jimmy turtle has been ensouled. Otherwise, you can't say it represents the soul of your turtle, Jimmy. If it's a soulless turtle, this is important.
That's true. Wait, don't turtles get a soul when they're born?
It depends on the turtle. There's a little bit of favoritism involved.
Is this like Calvinistic determinism for turtles?
Turtles have it hard.
Deturtleism?
It's a difficult world.
Anyway, my name's Thomas. I'm here as always with my good friend Martin. And today we have 5 of your questions to answer. So every few episodes, we get 5 questions that are sent to us via email or tweets or smoke signals or reverberations down the philodic chords of the universe. People who haven't read Children of the Mind are not going to get that reference, but
I don't get anything.
There's weird chords in the universe, and they connect all life forms, apparently, according to some weird sci-fi novel I read once.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, happy late Halloween, by the way.
Happy late Halloween.
I'm the personification of my favorite Pokemon, or at least probably my favorite. You figure it out.
You don't want to tell them?
Nope.
You're not going to tell them?
No, because only the real Pokemon fans will guess, because it's not in the first gen.
It's Pikachu,
I'm gatekeeping
right?
Pokemon.
Hypno.
It's definitely Pikachu. I do
Snorlax.
love Hypno. Nope, it's not in the first gen.
Zapdos.
It's Zapdos. I'm really bad at costume
It's a really,
design.
really terrible Zapdos costume.
I'm doing a bad job.
People are going to have to go watch the YouTube version of this to see what your costume is.
Yep.
And guess. And their
They'll have
prize
to
for
see.
guessing will be getting to watch the YouTube version.
Yeah.
I'm real good at incentives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So we took 5 questions from, I believe 3 of these were from the philodic chords and 2 of them were smoke signal questions. That we do check our tweets and we do check our emails. So if you want to send us questions that way, you can always do that. But in 5 questions episodes, we usually just rapid fire answer the questions that we got. And it's kind of a fun format.
Yep.
Yeah. You got your Notion up?
Nope.
No?
I use iCloud Notes for all of my actual notes.
Oh, wait. You just transfer
I
it
copy
into
and
Notion,
paste
you're good to
it.
go?
Yeah, I
That's
put it
fair.
in Notion, but then if I have any notes on what I want to say, I want to keep it separate. That way, you're not accidentally reading my bullet points
I
and
don't see
vice
your bullet
versa.
points.
So that I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this time when my name was Thomas Frank. That's not mine. I want to make sure that they're separate so that I don't mess up.
Maybe you were Thomas Frank once.
That's possible, but I don't have any memory of it, and in any useful sense.
Well, of course you wouldn't have any memory
Probably
of it.
not.
Didn't you see the short story of the egg
Yeah.
that Chris Cassatt put out?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Everyone should go watch that. That was a fantastic video.
Yeah, it lines up with actually quite a lot of really interesting things I've read. It almost could make sense. I could believe it.
It almost could.
Why not?
No, wait, who...
Why not?
Who originally wrote that?
I don't remember, but I did.
I can't remember
Oh wait,
either.
actually, yeah, you sent a video, and instead I Googled it and then read the original thing.
Oh, you
but
didn't, you didn't watch the video?
No, I don't watch videos.
The video is really cool. You should watch it.
I don't remember who wrote it though. Off the top
I
of my
don't
head.
either. Some sci-fi writer.
It was cool.
Can't remember. But it was really cool. Man, it's right on the tip of my tongue. And I was just reading about tip of the tongue effects.
Oh yeah.
Because I did all this research about why people forget names.
Well, you got to do that thing where you split your tongue, right? Then you've got 2 tips of the tongue, so you can remember twice as good.
If one tip of the tongue isn't good enough,
yeah,
the other one
will get it for you.
statistically is either better or worse.
It's got to be.
But it could just be worse because I have now made both tips half as effective.
Then make another one.
Oh, genetic engineering.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
we can do this.
Okay. Oh, before we get into this, a lot of people, and this is going to be a lot for the YouTube audience, or I guess people who watch my YouTube videos, a lot of people have asked me where I get these button-up shirts. And let me tell you, I usually tell people that I get them from Barbell. But now, Barbell reached out to me because apparently I told enough people about it. And they're like, hey, do you want an affiliate link? And I said, yes. So if you want to get the same shirts I wear, you can go to collegeinfogeek.com/barbell and check it out.
Yep. We're also selling the shirts he's wearing right this second, right off his back.
This exact one.
Yeah, that exact one.
Yes. You're
Why
going to
not?
have to find me in the wild and take it from me, though. And in that case, the price is $0 as long as you are
The
stronger
price is
than me.
victory. You know, if you can
Yes.
pay that price.
No, the
You get
price
it.
isn't victory. The secondary reward is victory.
The
I
price
would
is
go
also
as far
victory.
as
If you
to
can't be
say-
victorious, then you don't get it.
That's true. Victory is both a price and a reward. It may be a Pyrrhic victory.
That's fine.
I will defend myself and the shirt that I'm wearing.
I will defend this
paid for
shirt
this
with my
shirt.
life.
Yes. Anyway, plug over. But I did want to make a small plug because I love Barbell. Seriously. Their shirts are the best. They're the best. Anywho, we have the first question, which is sort of in the vein of the plug I just made because it's about fitness.
Kind of a little bit.
Yeah. So this may not apply to people who live in very hot climates, but
Nope.
how can I stay fit in the coming winter is the first question.
Which is a good question because cardio sucks in the winter, and I don't want to do it.
Or you could just be hardcore.
I don't want to do that.
You
I'll
could
slip
go-
and I'll fall. I'll snap my finger open again.
Yeah, don't do that. Never mind.
It's a bad idea.
What you could do is be 12 years old,
Okay,
go into an arcade,
I can do that.
okay?
Uh-huh.
And I do believe this was in the middle of winter. Discover a game called Dance Dance Revolution,
Okay.
Max 2 to be specific, and then realize that it only cost like 10 cents to play it because this was in the olden days when you're 12 years old, which was
Okay.
16 years ago. Oh my gosh.
Don't say that.
Start playing it, right? Get a dream.
Okay.
The dream is to one day have arcade quality metal DDR pads of your own.
It's a solid dream.
Wait 16 years, get them,
Okay.
have them in your basement.
And then like on the 17th winter, you have them.
Yes. So you're going to have to wait 16 years to get fit, but 16 years later, you can finally get fit in the
Okay.
comfort of your own home.
That's a good excuse not to get fit right now.
Exactly.
I'm waiting.
So just wait. I'm just waiting 16 years to get my metal DDR pads, and then I can get fit.
Okay. Actually, DDR is actually a pretty good suggestion.
DDR
Like,
is
assuming
a
you hate treadmills,
fantastic-
you know, because treadmills are obvious, and you can still do
Yes.
weight exercises and stuff and go to the gym.
Yes.
But I hate treadmills. I prefer to go on bikes and rollerblade and longboard and just go on long walks, all of which I don't want to do right now. Even if I could. Also, like, what if I just like hit some ice on the bike? It feels like biking just for the sake of pleasure in the winter. I'm taking on risks that aren't worth the reward.
Yeah.
And luckily for me, I just got the new Ring Fit Adventure game for the Switch, which is basically Ring Fit Adventure. It's basically Nintendo's new Wii Fit, but for the Switch.
Do you still have a board that you stand on, or
Nope.
is it?
You get this ring thing, and you
Okay.
can push in on the ring and pull on the ring, and then it straps one of the things to your legs so it can sense whether you're moving your legs.
Okay.
And so I feel really stupid playing it. I feel real dumb because I'm like jogging in place holding this ring like an idiot in my living room.
Are you
But I
getting
will tell you,
exercise, though?
at the end of that, I feel very tired, and eventually I feel good. It's actually a much better exercise for me than Wii Fit ever was. Because with Wii Fit, I made my own routines, and it's hard to push yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
But this
but
is,
with
like,
this, it's
making you
like
do stuff.
I have to like finish the level, and I'm like, don't make me keep jogging. And then it's like, oh, you've got stairs, and you've got to raise your legs higher when you hit stairs, or you won't move. And I'm like, no, not the stairs. But I want to do it because I got to beat that buff dragon.
Is it kind of like Temple Run? Like, do you have a character
It's
that's,
something
running
like
along
that.
a path or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Except for you have to jog to make them go on the path, and then you'll get random encounters with monsters, and you got to do muscle exercises. So I was doing this thing up here where you like press in on the thing real hard, and then to guard, you hold it against your abs, and you have to use your stomach strength to help defend from them. It's completely ridiculous, but I was exhausted from merely calibrating it, realized how not fit I am, and have decided that that's pretty cool.
So we are currently in the midst of Operation Get Martin Swole
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, and I mean, I've also got like dumbbells and stuff. All
Yeah.
the strength exercise is obvious for me, but why would I ever do cardio inside if it wasn't for fighting that buff dragon? I have to
Yes.
beat him.
So yeah, I'm more interested in the question of how do you do things that are fun during the winter that are still exercise boy, I backed myself into a grammatical corner on that one, that still get you exercise.
Yeah.
Because there's the obvious answers. Get a gym membership. Go run on the treadmill. Lift weights. Get a door frame pull-up bar, which I've said about a zillion times
Those
on
are
the
great.
podcast.
Yeah.
Get yourself some dumbbells. Go to the, I believe, I don't know the exact name of the subreddit, but there is a bodyweight fitness subreddit. And they have a few different routines you can pick from, either in sticky posts or in the wiki. It's either in the sticky or in the wiki. That's my new rap album.
That's fair.
But you can find some very, very comprehensive bodyweight fitness routines you can do with no equipment needed.
Yeah.
But much more interested in the question of how do you continue to do things that motivate you to exercise during the winter?
Yeah.
And that's an interesting one.
Oh, I'm actually looking forward to playing it again. I feel good afterward, and it senses it. Yeah, like with Wii Fit, it was good, but I had to force myself. Now I'm like, but I have to finish the level, or else
Yeah.
what am I doing?
So
And then DDR was a good idea, too.
is that like $60 just like a normal game, or what is it?
It was somewhere around there.
Okay. So it's cheaper than metal DDR pads.
It was...
Perhaps
I
a
think
bit
it
more
was a little
accessible.
more to get the accessory, but like it wasn't even 100. I was expecting it to be an expensive accessory. It wasn't bad,
Okay.
but it's a lot more fun than I was expecting,
Yeah.
even if I feel dumb at first.
I have a philosophical question, Martin. Why are we embarrassed to move?
Well, it's mostly that I'm holding a ring fighting a buff dragon by jogging in place. Feels dumb. But if I win, is it really dumb? Can you take on a buff dragon? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's pretty spooky.
I'm just thinking about this in a more general sense. Like why do we feel embarrassed to do anything
like
that's
try
an expression?
if I have to.
Yeah, it's totally seen as okay to be a lazy slob and just like play WoW and whatever, and people aren't gonna. Well, they probably are gonna judge you. That's the weird thing. They are gonna judge you, but you don't care.
I feel
But
like
we do care, and we are afraid of people judging us for
it's like
public
sincerity.
speaking or singing or dancing or playing with a weird ring and fighting a
Yeah,
buff
yeah.
dragon.
Actually, with all of it, I think the problem is sincerity. Like, it would be easier to do those things in public ironically, or you're doing something really dumb. But the second you try to mean what you're saying, you're like, oh no, I've shown that I care about things.
But like, if you're playing video games, you're showing that you care about the video games. Is it that the video games are a sort of prescribed experience where you can sort of offload any form of self-expression to the intentions of the developers? But that doesn't make sense because people love to customize their characters and all this kind of stuff.
That's true.
Why is it that any sort of like physical expression is seen as embarrassing and we're scared to do it?
That's a good point. No one would judge me if I was playing Zelda in there.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's that we look to the people who are great and we're afraid of not measuring up, because there's obviously like Fortnite pros out there, and there are people who, I don't know, play The Sims and they're super good at, or maybe Minecraft's a better analogy. You know, my friend Alan has literally recreated the entire Spirited Away set entirely in Minecraft.
Really?
In amazing detail.
Okay.
But that doesn't make me embarrassed to go build something in Minecraft.
Yeah, I don't know.
And yet we feel embarrassed to go up and shake
It's
people's
like-
hands or
like-
sing in public or dance or whatever. I don't know. It's weird.
Huh. You know what? I don't know.
I don't know either.
What does make it
I
entirely
would like
different?
to know. What's the reasoning?
Like, obviously, there's the obvious stuff. There's like, I could fail. I feel silly. But like, why is it more those things than other things?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, I had a couple of more suggestions. One of them is to go to roller skating rinks.
I didn't even think about the fact that you can still roll around inside.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Those exist.
Oh,
Because I
Good
did
call.
not get a chance to do it today because I ended up filming for much longer than I intended. But I was going to go to the ice skating rink. And ice skating is another very good suggestion. Not everyone can ice skate. Not everyone can roller skate. But between the two, there's some more options. So that sounds fun.
that's a pretty good idea.
Trampoline parks,
Watch out.
if you have access to those. Watch out. You might sprain your ankle.
You might clip off a piece of bone in your ankle and have it lay around in there forever.
You know what you got to do is you got to commit to your front flips. Is it because didn't you tell me that you
No,
just,
that
you
day I
did one
had
lazily or something?
That day I had too much energy actually, and I was
you
jumping
had
way
too
higher
much.
than normal, and I didn't know why. And I should have thought to myself, "Wait a second, you're not calibrated." for turns at this height. So what happened was, since I was jumping higher, I turned the same amount as normal, which turned me a little extra because I was in the air for a little longer, having jumped higher. So I did not, like, I wasn't calibrated right, and it was really strange. Never have more energy than normal again.
Yeah.
That's my advice. At least when doing flips. When doing flips, I should have, if I would have thought about it first, like, if I'm jumping higher, I'll be in the air longer, and therefore my normal flip will land me at this angle, slightly turned in, like 370 degrees. Too late.
Yeah, I think if you were calibrated, you would have been fine because you would have just landed.
I would have been fine, but I should have questioned it.
Well, don't get injured. My last one.
They are really fun though if you don't break your ankle.
They are really fun. My last one is the thing that I do during the winters, which is I play basketball.
That's a pretty solid idea.
Because climbing gyms, expensive. Trampoline parks, expensive. Roller skating rinks, no, actually. Those are usually pretty cheap, but not always open. But get a YMCA membership or cheap gym membership. Often there's a basketball court. Play basketball. Join a league. Make friends. Get active.
Don't make friends.
Do the things and the stuff.
Don't make friends.
And if you haven't waited your 16 years yet, just play pretend floor DDR.
That's true.
Just pretend.
Learn tap dancing.
There's another word for that, which is just dancing.
No, specifically learn tap dancing. Bring it back.
Oh, yeah, you could take a dance class.
We're bringing it back.
Actually, there's usually like community education dance classes that you can take for cheap. Go learn swing or tango or whatever you want.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities. But I think people get caught up in it's cold outside. There's no longer anything to do except for plod along a treadmill in a gym, which is what...
Well, it turns out there are a lot more than I even thought about before coming into this episode because I forgot you could roll around inside.
And if you happen to live in Colorado, snowboarding is the best thing ever.
That's true. There are some winter outsides.
The best.
Get some snowshoes and go for a long walk anyway.
Oh, yeah. Actually,
I've never worn snowshoes before.
When I go snowboarding with my friend Matt, his girlfriend goes snowshoeing. She doesn't like to snowboard, but she likes to go for hikes in the winter. So
sounds cool.
Mm-hmm.
Should try that.
Question 2. When I read for college, should I read out loud or should I read silently?
I would probably say most of the time reading silently is much faster.
Mm-hmm.
But I do read out loud when I get to things, even in fiction, just anything I'm reading. If I get confused by the grammar of something, or if I found that I kind of just glazed right through that paragraph, I don't know what's going on. If I read it again out loud, I'll kind of get the rhythm better, and then I'll understand it more, and that's usually helpful. But, I mean, reading silently is much faster.
It is faster. Other than the speed, I think for most people it might not matter. In fact, so I've been learning about how the ears work.
Yep.
And so when sound hits your eardrum, that's not actually like the point at which it gets turned into nerve impulses. There's a whole extra song and dance that happens, starting with the eardrum basically knocks these three secessions. I guess like there's three bones that are in succession, and then the last bone makes like a pressure wave go down this like snail looking thing in your ear. But anyway, there's these muscles that clamp down on those bones in your ear. So when you speak, they will kind of clamp down every once in a while to lessen the amount of sound that you hear from yourself. They can also clamp down if you are exposed to a loud noise, though they aren't very fast.
They're soundproof headphones.
They're not very fast,
Brilliant.
so like a gunshot or something would deafen you because it wouldn't have time to clamp down, and they get fatigued very easily, which is why a rock concert will damage your hearing if you don't wear earplugs. Anyway, long story short, NASA research has found that when people read silently, those muscles are still active. So when we subvocalize, which kind of read silently in your head,
which generally happens,
your body's actually having a response, which means that your speech centers, your physical response to speech is similar when you're reading aloud and when you're reading silently.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, that's actually pretty
Thanks,
cool.
Sound Snail.
Mm-hmm.
Master of the ear bones.
Sound Snail. I want that to be a song.
It's
title
my new
now.
hero.
I've been collecting potential song titles.
Oh, good.
So Anna found a book about alchemy that she's using for some research right now, and apparently one of like the I don't know, top guys in alchemy back in the day of like the 1400s or whatever. His name, it's a really long name. I don't know all of it, but two of his names were Theophrastus Bombastus, and I absolutely love that.
That's a great.
So that's going into an album at some point.
Okay.
I'm just going to have a song called Theophrastus Bombastus. Anyway, my take on this. Whenever I read aloud, and this may just be me because I'm in media, but whenever I read aloud, I get really focused on the delivery. And I absolutely do not understand what I'm reading.
Yeah, that does not.
At all.
I don't do that. But that makes a lot of sense for you. Mm-hmm. I focus better just because I'm like trying to... If there's a word I don't know how to pronounce initially or just a weird grammatical thing, I find that it helps. But primarily because I'm putting more effort into focusing on what the words are. Mm-hmm. I probably could have done the same thing silently. I just paying more attention.
So for people listening to this, I would say watch out for that, because if it's happening, your comprehension's going down.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that you will comprehend the same amount faster if you read silently.
Yeah. I mean, reading speeds for silently reading. I haven't checked mine in a while, and if I'm going off how fast I read the 7th Harry Potter, which was a while ago, so I'm probably not quite up there, but it was in the 400s. But like reading out loud, what is it, like 150, 200 words per minute?
It's around 150.
Whereas I could read like easily 300 to 400 and something 100 words. It's just much, much faster.
Yeah.
Silently.
Yep.
Mouths are slow.
They are very slow. If I'm really blazing through a fiction book, it'd be around probably 400.
Yeah.
For further reading on this, we have a whole series of articles on speed reading. And a podcast episode on speed reading, where I interviewed probably the person who's currently alive and who has done the most research on eye tracking, speed reading, and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, cool.
And she was a grad student underneath the guy who did like all the pioneering research in eye tracking and everything. But he passed away, I think, like more than a decade ago. Yeah, her name's Elizabeth Schotter, and it was like episode 90 something. Maybe 95 or something like that.
Back in the 90s.
We'll put it in the show notes.
That was very shortly before I came back on.
Yes. Yeah, it was one of the last ones before you joined, and we kind of stopped doing interviews so often. Yep. This week's episode of our show is brought to you by our friends over at Brilliant, which is an amazing learning platform for anyone who wants to improve their abilities in the areas of math, science, and computer science. Brilliant has an in-depth library of more than 50 courses covering topics like calculus, geometry, differential equations, statistics, and probability, which if we're talking about math courses, I'm a little more interested in statistics and probability. And I'm not sure why I always talk about calculus first, because, man, I find stat a lot easier, and I don't know, my brain just sort of gravitates to it. Are you a calc bro?
Yeah, I'm one of them calc
bros.
One of them calc bros?
Bros?
That's what I do.
Anyway, you can learn about all those math topics. They actually have a very comprehensive math library, but they also have science courses like gravitational physics and classical mechanics, and computer science courses ranging from the fundamentals of algorithm design and the hardware fundamentals of computer memory, going all the way up to Python programming classes and some computational biology stuff that I definitely don't understand. But if you want to understand it, be it the math or the science or the computer science, Brilliant is a great place to gain the understanding, because they build all their courses with active learning in mind. So instead of just passively intaking information, which is not a great way to retain it and encode it, you're instead immediately thrown into challenging yet bite-sized and logically ordered sequences of problems that help you to learn more effectively and more quickly. And in addition to that huge library of courses, there is a daily challenges feature where you can log in every single day and get 2 new challenges from different areas of math, science, or computer science. So if you want to make learning and problem solving a daily habit, you want to improve your ability to solve problems, and you want to possibly get interested in a new area that you haven't considered before, then definitely check that out. And you can get started for free over at brilliant.org/college-info-geek. The free plan will get you access to new daily challenges every single day, and if you upgrade to their premium subscription, you're going to get access to the entire library of in-depth courses. Once again, brilliant.org/college-info-geek, and if you're one of the first 200 people to use that link and sign up, you're going to get 20% off your annual premium subscription. Big thanks, as always, goes out to Brilliant for sponsoring this episode and supporting our show. And Thanks also to our second sponsor this week, Hover, which we didn't actually know was on the schedule until the day before this podcast was supposed to go out, which is why it sounds different to the people on the audio feed. But Hover is the best place on the internet to get your hands on a domain name. And this is absolutely something you should do if you want to start building a professional, personal brand for yourself. If you want to align yourself with the industry that you're in and you want to start building expertise in a certain area and communicating that expertise to potential employers or maybe even potential customers if you're starting your own business, you want to get your hands on a domain name, which can then be home to a personal website. On that website, you can have a portfolio, you can have places for people to contact you. I think it's an essential tool in your tool belt for either getting a job or for building a following. And again, Hover is the absolute best place on the internet to get your hands on a domain name, not least of which because they have over 400 domain extensions to choose from. You have your classic ones like your .com, your .me, your .nets, which personally I think work really well for personal websites, but there's also newer extensions like .limo and .lol. In fact, I actually went and bought thomas.lol a few months ago just because, well, why wouldn't I want to own that one? But also, Hover has an incredibly streamlined checkout process. There's no annoying pop-ups. It's just very, very quick. In fact, if you have an account like I do, you can get a domain name bought in less than 30 seconds. It's super easy and a completely frictionless process. Also, once you have your domain name, they have some great features for helping you put it to good use. They have an email feature where you can hook it up to a professional email like thomas@collegeinfogeek.com, which is mine, and also a feature called Connect, which lets you easily hook your domain up to website builders like Squarespace and Shopify. So if you're ready to get your hands on your domain name, go over to hover.com/CIG and you're going to get 10% off your first purchase. That's HOVER.com/CIG. Once again, hover.com/CIG. And thanks to Hover as well for sponsoring this week's episode. Let's get back into it. All right, so question number 3. How do you make something that doesn't suck?
You don't.
You
Everything
just don't.
sucks. Everything sucks. Just stop caring.
I have a good idea for a book, but I can't figure out how to write it as well as a professional author.
Yeah, that's the taste gap.
That is the taste gap.
You make it, but you have better taste than that, and you're aware that it sucks. And it's really frustrating for all things.
It really is. And even as people who understand the taste gap, maybe I shouldn't speak for you, but I find it hard to just publish, especially when I don't have some kind of hard deadline.
Yeah, which sucks because publishing and making anything that doesn't suck means you're going to have to do it over and over, probably failing many times. And if you're starting right now, let's say you're starting on this idea for this great book idea. What if you care too much about that idea and you're afraid to take risks with it? You can't develop the skill because you need to take risks and fail over and over. But if you're afraid to take those risks, what you're doing, you might stunt your own growth because you're on something you care too much about. Mm-hmm. So with my pixel art thing that I'm trying to do, I'm trying to learn basic pixel art right now just to amuse myself. I wanted to post something for Halloween. So I had this whole big idea, this cool scene planned out with a whole bunch of stuff going on. And I start to make it. I spend way too long making a basic cauldron, and then some of the other stuff starts not working out. And then I start to think, well, if this is taking me this long, this is the simplest part of the... Oh, God, this is going to take so long because each time... I don't know anything about the shading. I don't know anything about how am I going to outline them. Am I going to do black outlines? Am I going to do... I don't know yet. I haven't practiced it. So instead, eventually I gave in, realized that wasn't happening, and made a little... Actually, this should be published by the time this episode comes out. A little 32 by 32 grid version of Enoch from Over the Garden Wall because I care about it. I like it, but it was small and simple and one thing, and I got to focus on the skill. Whereas before, I was focusing on this big artistic vision I had, but I wasn't ready for artistic vision yet. I needed to practice the skill. Without the skill, the artistic vision, you can't see it in my head, so it doesn't really matter until I can actually portray it.
Yeah. I just thought of a good analogy.
Yeah.
So picture what you do in the morning for your morning routine, right?
Okay. I mourn every day.
Mourn every ing. All right. Now imagine trying to do that if you did not know how to walk, if you did not know how to tie shoes, if you didn't know how to use toothpaste, if you didn't know how to turn your shower on, if you didn't know how a microwave worked. Literally, Like, think of everything you do that is completely second nature that you've been doing for years and years.
Yeah.
Imagine having to learn how to do it, but still get everything done before the morning is over and you have to go to work.
One morning is impossible now.
It's not going to happen.
Because it was real. It was just like shading. What level of detail? Am I going to do it at this resolution? Am I going to do it at this resolution? How big should they all be proportionately? Oh, God, I don't know what I'm doing. So like, what if with this book thing, what if it would be helpful, work on the book on the side, take down all your notes and stuff, but when you're feeling stuck, maybe you practice a skill with some sort of short story. Maybe you practice it. Maybe you write a short story in the universe of the book to practice flesh out the world in your own head. But you're just writing to focus on, with this 500 words or so, I'm going to focus on scenic descriptions.
Yeah.
With this one, I'm going to focus on dialogue. With this one, I'm going to try to make this character seem compelling within just a few paragraphs. Like, these little tiny skills are so important.
Yeah.
And you can't execute the vision yet until you fail several times at many of those small skills.
And you don't even have to split your big project into a zillion little pieces, because you might care about it too much that you might feel paralyzed. That's how I feel. Like, I'm working on a new study music song right now, and I'm like, the drums have to be perfect, and then I just get paralyzed.
Yeah.
So instead, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna shelve that for a bit, and I'm gonna find somebody's like Yeezy beat on YouTube they made, and I'm just gonna try to recreate it. I'm gonna follow it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use the same plugins they used. I'm gonna like, all right, maybe I'll try to vary up the hi-hats a little differently than they did. Maybe I'll try to program my own sub bass in a synthesizer. Oh, hey, I know how to do that now. And when I come back to the big project that I care about, I'm now gonna have stuff that's like second nature. Like, all right, I'm gonna throw sub bass on there, easy. I don't have to think about it.
That's pretty similar to me making the Enoch thing. Actually, it's kind of like the pixel art I'm working on right now is more or less fan art.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to come up with the concept, and that saves me so much like artistic effort and disconnects me a little bit from how protective I am of how good the output is.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm focusing on the skill and I'm making another one right now that involves Pokemon, and I'm just making some of my favorite Pokemon. So I do care. It's fun and interesting, but at the same time, I'm like, I know exactly what to do already. I just need to learn the skill to do it. There's no how many heads should this thing have? Like, that's already been decided for me. Somebody else did that.
Actually, yeah, that's a really good point. And I think when we did the video on skill development, there was a point about how like imitation really helps people to progress quickly. And there was some famous jazz musician who had said this, and that's who I referenced in the video, saying like imitation is really what kind of boosts people's skills quickly. Because yeah, if you haven't made all these skills second nature, then you're simultaneously trying to, in your conscious mind, make all those work and make artistic decisions. That's tough. But if you give yourself either or, all right, I'm going to imitate something, maybe remix it a little bit, but I have something I can see as a reference.
Yeah.
I can use that to build my skills. And then later on, I now have these skills, they're second nature. I now have the tools to make something very original, because all of my conscious effort can go into dreaming something up.
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen if you're trying to do both.
Yeah, and like you said, simply going through a morning routine, if you had to learn every skill from scratch as you were doing it, you would fail at the simplest things because you just don't have that much time. And it's if you do that with something you love, and it can maybe work given enough time, but it's going to feel so scary or frustrating to be like, it's been 3 months and I'm on page 1 because I wanted page 1 to be good.
Yep.
And I haven't figured it out yet. And then it feels like you're going nowhere. That's really discouraging.
Mm-hmm. I think for most humans, we probably have this feeling like we need to be perfect in the first try for everything.
Yep.
And the only reason we ever learn to do anything is because we were like forced to go through school, and they're like, all right, do this one math problem that's easy. And they just force us through a curriculum and a progression of lots and lots of different practice tries.
Yeah.
And then we get done, and no one's forcing us to do that anymore. So we're just like, I wish I could be a great author, and I would be a failure if I wasn't a great author on my first try. It's like, no, man, do what you did in school.
I think this is why everybody gets stuck. We all get stuck on the skill development because nobody's telling us to like. I remember Ashley was always saying like her teachers made all the students do like 50 sketches. Mm-hmm. We need 50 sketches. Like,
yeah,
you're
right.
What do we do 50 figurative sketches on at all in adulthood. We're like, well, nobody's making me do this a whole bunch of times. So the first try is probably fine. Oh, wait, the first try sucks? I'll do something else that doesn't feel bad, because it feels bad not to do something well. So you kind of need a system or like a coach or something to push you through that, because otherwise you do it, it feels bad, and you're like, well, why don't I do something that feels good instead? Like Netflix.
Dude,
I can never fail to watch Netflix. Every time I do it,
true.
and I succeed.
Super good at it. Man, I'm super good at consumption.
One of my biggest
talents.
talents.
I've had a lot of practice at it.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of practice eating things, drinking things, intaking media that other people have put their heart and soul into.
Yeah. Well, and it's obviously
also
the first
checking my
thing they've
phone.
ever done, obviously, too.
First thing they've
They
ever
just
done.
did it first try. I'm not cut out for it.
Game of Thrones, that was a student film. Actually,
Well, yeah,
I went and
some.
saw Jojo Rabbit, which was Taika Waititi's newest film. And at the Alamo, they often play, instead of just like playing ads or dumb things like a lot of theaters do, they'll play like interesting stuff before movies. So like before the Ghibli movie marathon that I went to there, they were just playing all these like documentary things about how they're made and everything.
Yeah.
So for this one, they were just playing a movie that Taika Waititi made as a student in 2006. And it's all him. No other actors, nobody else working on it, just a really crappy camera, and he's like making a war movie where he played all the parts.
Nice.
And it's real rough. Hilarious though. But it's real rough. And now that dude made Thor Ragnarok,
which is
and
real
then-
good.
I think he wrote, I don't know if he directed, but I want to say he wrote and directed Jojo Rabbit and acts in it as well. And it was a fantastic movie. So,
Yeah.
you just got to put in your tries, your at-bats. Do the work. Draw all 150 Pokemon, one every day. I've seen actually several people do that.
Yeah, by the end of it, you're probably going to... It's going to suck if your favorite Pokemon's Bulbasaur, do it in reverse order.
Yes.
That way you're really good by the time you get to Bulbasaur.
Yep. But yeah, and a lot of people are like, well, it's a waste of time because I'm not making original art. I'm just like drawing other people's creations. But
I'm not good enough to make original art
Yeah.
yet. I don't know how.
imagine how good your original art is going to be after you've done 150 drawings.
I want to do more. I want to do pixel art that's original. I want to make cool scenes. Like I had the whole Halloween idea, but I'm not good enough yet.
Yep. Or here's, and there are ways that you can sort of put your own originality into something that you're imitating.
Yeah.
So for the simplest example, Tony, our editor, wanted to learn how to draw in the old-timey Disney animation style. So he goes and he draws Mickey Mouse purely from a reference image.
Okay.
And it looks pretty good. And he's like, where do I go from here? And I'm like, reverse it. Just horizontal flip. But you got to draw it that way. You can't do it in Photoshop.
That's tough.
It's different, right? Or, make him winking. Or if he's smiling, make him frown. And then if you're doing the Pokemon challenge, right? All right, I'm going to draw Bulbasaur. I'm just going to completely copy the sprite. By the time I get to Pidgeotto, all right, I'm flipping them. I'm horizontal. By the time I get to Nidoking, now it's time to start trying different positions and poses.
Yeah, they're using a move or something.
That they never drew themselves. So, okay, I've got a reference, but I have to draw it doing something different. So it's almost original art, just using an established character.
Yeah, and eventually you might start developing your own artistic style that you can throw. Like, obviously, a lot of fan art takes the original concept, but then filters it through, like, here's what I want to do with it. I know I've been seeing there was some artist, I don't remember the name of because I'm bad at Twitter names, but they were doing a bunch of ghost Pokemon for Halloween, and the style they're doing them in is really cool and not at all like the Sugimori art that you'll find in the like game guides or the basic imagery you'll see for it. It's just way different. They take the concept and then they used it to practice a different artistic style. It looks really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another way you can do it. Mash two things together. There was another artist I saw who was doing, I think it was like video game fan art, but it was in the like 1800s Japanese art style.
That's
that
really
painting
cool.
style.
That's a good idea, mixing up two things deliberately, even if neither of them are specifically yours. Like, draw all 150 Pokemon as if they were from the Steven Universe.
Yeah.
That's very interesting to me. What would that look like? I don't know.
That'd be really cool, actually.
Next, do Adventure Time. You know they're different now.
all 150 original Pokemon, but every time
Each one is like
you got to pick a
different.
different universe.
You got to pick a different
do it
thing
in
that
that
it looks
style.
like. This one's you got to do Nidoking like it was from Game of Thrones. This one's hyper realistic. I hope you're good now.
More wine.
That actually be really cool. You just honor all your favorite shows by drawing something in that style, even if it doesn't belong there.
I had an idea for a YouTube channel, and I have too many ideas for YouTube channels, which is why I never do any of them. But I wanted to do one where every video I would talk about something original, but I would do the video in the style of another creator. So maybe one video I do like Casey Neistat, very vlog style, and I do the next video as fully animated as I can, like Chris Casad or something like that. And it would be very, very difficult, and it would probably all be bad, but it'd be an interesting challenge.
Yeah.
Just every single time, try to imitate another style and see how good you can do it. It's kind of like Weird Al, actually.
Yeah, a little bit.
Anywho, so we have our fourth question here. I heard that you should make your timetable by putting in the hours for break/play/rest time first. Is this true? How should we best design our timetable? So I'm guessing this person is talking about time boxing. I'm guessing, or at least building a daily
you're
schedule.
building your schedule based on the hours or whatnot.
Yeah. So I mean, the first thing that I'm gonna say is you're probably gonna have obligations that are going to be there first. So classes, work
Stuff that
hours,
you can't move.
you got to do those first. Once you have those and you're trying to schedule out your day, what do you think? Do you think breaks should be scheduled before work sessions? Do you think they even need to be scheduled?
I think it's an interesting concept to plan your breaks first, but I think it completely depends on your priorities. Like a person who's like been overworking themselves for a long time, maybe that person should prioritize a little bit of break. Maybe they're going to go insane if they don't get their breaks in and they've been pushing too hard for too long. Or maybe now is the time where you want to rejuvenate and get into a project. You should schedule the project time first and then the break time. It's like whatever you want to make most important. I would probably schedule meals for myself because sometimes I just forget to eat enough. So that's a high priority for me. So it should be, in my opinion, your obligations have to come first, but then it's just what will you be most disappointed in yourself for not doing today? What will hurt the worst if you miss out on it?
Yeah, you do forget to eat a lot, don't you?
I do.
I never forget that one. I'll just say what I've been doing recently. So the number one thing is doing my best to set an end time for the day, which I'm trying for 6 p.m.
Not 2 a.m.? I've been bad at this.
2 a.m.'s...
Asking for a friend.
Not 2 a.m.
Okay.
I've been good about not doing 2 a.m.
I've not.
But I will wake up and I will basically start working, and on certain days I'll just keep working until the day's over. And part of that is like the creative process. You get into it, but a lot of it is, as an entrepreneur, I always bite off more than I can chew. And the moment, and you've seen this a zillion times, the moment that something works well and I find myself with free time, I'll find something to fill it with.
Yeah.
My agent will be like, hey, do you want to do this trip to New York? Yeah, sure. I'll book a flight. And then the next month rolls around. I'm like, crap, I got to go to New York for a third of this month. But we still have all the same work. And, various variations of that always happen. So in a way, I do schedule my end time first. At least I try to. And then I haven't really been scheduling breaks per se, but what I've been doing is on my daily to-do list, I'll write, do a Pomodoro of this, and then take a break.
Okay.
The recent one was like, do a Pomodoro of brainstorming for the video on why you forget names. Then do a Pomodoro of research. Then go buy groceries, because that was kind of like a mental break for me. Then come back and do a Pomodoro of writing. So sort of planning my breaks, but not the exact time at which it was going to happen, because I allow myself to go beyond 25 minutes in a Pomodoro if I am in the zone.
Yeah, which makes perfect sense. Otherwise, you're just hurting yourself.
Yeah. So I think I ended up
that makes sense.
Working for like 2 hours instead of what would have been.
So you have a different way of ensuring that you will take breaks.
Yes. Sometimes.
Yeah, I guess planning them. I don't know if I'd plan them on a timetable like that. Yeah, other than like Maybe I'll take a long lunch break. That would be a good way to plan a break for me. Otherwise, yeah, what if I'm really in the zone? What if I need to take the break later? Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
And yeah, I think that's about it. You know, I'm not scheduling
It's
breaks.
just like based on your priorities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think people should experiment with what works for them, and what works for you is probably going to be different at different times.
Yeah.
You know, there's always the pendulum swinging back and forth in all directions for all, I guess, opposing concepts. So I find that there's never a static equilibrium between I'm not working too much, I'm not resting too much. It's always some amount of over the equilibrium in some way.
I feel like if I felt like I was doing perfectly balanced, I would do what you do, which is say, well, I guess I can take on a little more.
Yep.
Like you'd force yourself to go too far in a direction, and maybe it would be boring to sit in the middle too long.
It might be.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. We're always striving for something. And I think that it is the curse, but also the superpower of the human species to solve one problem, and in doing so, unearth 14 different smaller problems.
Yeah.
That's just kind of what we do. You know, it's like, oh, hey, I'm hungry a lot, and I often go hungry, don't have enough food. Solve that problem. Well, now, like sometimes when I turn my TV on, the Netflix app wants to update, and I just really wish it wouldn't make me update it. It's like once a week I have to update the Netflix app, man. You know, I better go get a coding job to fix that. Build an auto-updating thing for the Netflix smart TVs. But of course, once I do that, there's going to be some other problem. Like, I constantly deal with existential dread. There's no true survival need anymore.
But Netflix fixes that. You just
That's true.
watch Netflix.
Turn off, tune in
Yeah.
to the College Info Geek podcast. Subscribe on Netflix. We're not on Netflix.
We're not on Netflix.
Last question. Have you ever wanted to help others, but felt like you needed to learn more or work on yourself before doing it? Yes.
All time.
Absolutely. This is imposter syndrome. Go listen to that episode because that was 2 episodes ago. But boy howdy. Yeah. I mean, like I don't think I can say too much about what I'm doing right now, but I'm embarking on a project where I'm going to show people a cool process. But I am acutely aware that there are many other people in the world who are better at this process than me. And so there's part of me being like, well, why should I even make this? Why would people even want to watch it? There's like better people out there. But here's the thing. All those people are experts. So even if they're trying to teach how to do stuff, they're going to have blind spots because they don't remember where they got stuck.
Yeah.
I am a beginner, but I know more than true beginners. So by documenting my process, showing where I get stuck and showing how I overcome those difficulties, that's going to be helpful for people. And the people who are experts, they wouldn't have ever made that content because they don't see it.
Yeah, you're an expert to the people that haven't gotten quite as far as you yet.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, so just ask yourself. And this is a good mental exercise. Don't think about the general conceptual audience out there. Think, what could I do to help myself 1 year ago in this discipline? So photography, you know, or maybe you feel like you've known the same stuff for a year. So go back 5 years. What would you be able to teach 5 year ago Martin about photography?
How to shoot in manual.
Yeah. I mean,
Also, how to do color grading. Also, yeah, actually, manual is the most important thing because of my macro shooting. But I didn't know how to do it back then. I used to shoot in aperture priority while I was learning because it would make it a little easier. But now everything I do on the camera, I control myself.
And there's probably a lot of other things too. Like,
Also, I didn't have focus peaking. I didn't know how that worked back then. I didn't turn it on.
you didn't have that. You didn't know how to get close to bugs quite as well without them going away.
That's a tough skill. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting because that's not even in the camera, but it's still an important skill to do. I have to be super close without scaring things or getting stung or bitten, which is a matter of time. I've considered getting a beekeeper suit and taking all my photos in that. because then they won't sting or bite me. But then what's going to happen is I'm going to like catch it on a branch. There's going to be a hole, and the bee's going to fly in the hole in the beekeeper suit, and I'm going to be like a Looney Tunes scene.
Yes.
And the beekeeper suit's just going to expand, and I will die.
It will be thousands of bees. They will all find the hole.
I will find out I'm allergic to bees.
Yep.
And it'll be a bad day.
That's why you got to wear 2 beekeeper suits.
2 beekeeper suits. Yeah, the first one is a distraction for the bees.
You can never be too careful. But yeah, or what time of day is best to go take these photos? 5 years ago, Martin probably didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. How do I get that blurry background? Oh, it's depth of field. I know how to explain that.
And yet, what are the effects of shallow depth of field on macro photography?
Mm-hmm.
Super hard.
Way, way, way harder to get your point of focus because in macro, the slice of depth of field is ever so tiny.
Yeah, it's like a half a centimeter of a spider's eye.
Mm-hmm. Whereas in portrait photography, it might be a foot. So you could just kind of point and shoot.
So much of this is like, I wouldn't have known it back then, but it's second nature now. So I would feel like if I was making a video, well, I don't know anything about this. I just do it.
Yeah.
I just sort of do it automatically. It's easy. Everybody should know it. But I didn't know it at all before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great to, and I'm speaking from experience here. It's great to watch somebody who I know is only a few levels above me.
Well, it's more accessible.
Mm-hmm. It's much more accessible. If I'm watching a documentary, and I would love to watch. I'm trying to think of like one of the top music producers, like Swiss Beats or something. If I would love to look over Swiss Beats' shoulder for a day and just see how it works. But I'm probably going to see a lot of stuff that I do not understand. It's going to boggle my mind.
Yeah.
Or watching Taryn from Linus Tech Tips edit. I know for a fact that dude has 10,000 macros and crazy scripts that he's built over the years to the point where he can now hit a button and his computer will do something. And to an onlooker, there would be no figuring out what was happening.
Yeah.
But if I'm watching a video from, a intermediate producer on YouTube, and they're just like, hey, I just learned how to humanize my percussion in an electronic track without it being like, perfectly quantized to the grid. Oh, hey, that's a problem I'm having right now. And they're probably going to go about doing it in a way that I will understand pretty easily.
Yeah, they're not going to know all the like crazy jargon shortcuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for anybody feeling imposter syndrome here, for anybody feeling like you're not yet good enough to help others, ask yourself, could you 1 year ago or 5 years ago, could that person benefit from you now? Because the answer is almost undoubtedly yes. Unless you literally haven't been doing anything in that discipline, in which case, why would you want to help people in it?
Yeah, in that case, you probably should work on yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably true. Or if you meant work on yourself and like I've got a lot of stuff going on, this isn't a good time for me. Sure. One of my favorite quotes is, one cannot pour from an empty cup.
Yep.
I need to think about that a lot because like a lot of my motivations are about helping people or like helping family out or donating to charities that reflect a lot of things I have experience with. And I'm just like, well, I'm not ready yet. And it's taken years to get to the point that I could be useful in those arenas.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, and don't feel bad if you have to wait a few years to help other people because you're still working to a place where you're going to help other people.
Yeah.
That's part of the journey.
Yeah, and if you stretch yourself, like imagine I wanted to donate to a charity right now and help in that way, and I was like, I'm going to donate all of my money to this charity. Well, now I can't live, so I cannot continue to help these same charities for the next, I don't know, however many years I'm alive. Like it's a long-term investment.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a big deal if you have to wait until you're ready to do these things.
Yeah. Yeah, don't destroy your own ability to produce more value.
Yeah, that'd be pretty short-sighted.
It is. Yeah, it's very short-sighted. You have to leave some capital left over to keep doing what you're doing. So those are our 5 questions. Again, if you want your 5 questions or 1 question, actually, don't get selfish. Leave 4 other questions for 4 other people. If you want your question answered on a future 5 questions episode, you can tweet us. I'm Tom Frankly on Twitter, and you're Yo Bartholomew, which is long for Martin, even though Martin isn't short for Bartholomew. Bartholomew feels like a name that would be in the vein of Theophrastus Bombastus.
It's a good name.
Bartholomew. Something like that. Or the comments section of the YouTube version of this podcast. If you happen to subscribe to us on YouTube, usually check those comments. They're a little less crazy than the comments on my main channel because there's fewer of them, so I usually look at them. Or email thomas@collegeinfoggeek.com, and your question may make it into a future 5 questions if it isn't something that we've already covered. Though we've done a lot of 5 questions episodes.
This is the 34th.
It's a lot of questions,
I believe.
But
So it's quite a lot of 5 questions.
yeah, we haven't covered what our favorite Pokemon are. No one's ever asked us that.
Yeah.
You know what? We've never done a true Q&A episode.
Yeah.
Nope, never done it.
Just like straight questions.
Just like straight up, just like anything you want to know. So, yeah, if you want to know, if you want us to do an episode like that, send in random questions
All right.
that aren't like about life philosophy and stuff.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, who's your favorite Digimon?
How often do you clip your toenails? These are the questions I think about everybody.
I actually have a phone reminder for that.
I actually pay somebody to do that for me.
Yeah, it's all about delegation.
I wake up once a week to somebody clipping my nails.
Well, you got to have them do it
And then
before you wake up.
I sleepily hand them the $10 bill that's under my pillow. They're like the tooth fairy, but not.
The toenail fairy.
Yeah. They, but I pay them.
But you pay them. It's all, it all
You want to
shakes
find out if that's a lie? Ask us. It's a lie. I'm not going to answer that one.
That is a lie. Anyway, this is episode 280, so you can go over to cigpodcast.com/280 to get the show notes. I know we mentioned the skill development video and our speed reading videos and the speed reading podcast interview that I did. So check those out if you're curious. Otherwise, cigpodcast.com with no slashes, no trailing numbers will get you to the podcast's homepage where you can find out how to subscribe to this show if you haven't done so already. We are on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pocket Casts, your browser, in your brain. Surreptitiously, we have installed a microchip inside your brain, and you will never be rid of the podcast from this moment onward. You're welcome. Anyway, collegeinfoggeek.com is a place you can go if you want to find our resources page, our college packing guide, our favorite books, or lots of cool articles that you probably haven't read yet. So check it out if you have some time. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you in the next episode. Stay cute.